Welcome to the Crowds Line College Football Show, featuring Coach Lou Holtz and Mark May. Every week, you can predict the winner, the score, and compete against the crowd for prizes. Sign up on the Crowds Line app or by going to thecrowdsline.com.
Welcome to Week 3 of the Crowds Line College Football Show with Lou Holtz and Mark May. This week, Week 3, was blowouts, unexpected blowouts, upsets, and even more upsets. But most of all, it was Week 2 of college football, and we can't ask for more than that. We've got Mark May, Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion, Coach Lou Holtz, National Championship coach. Gentlemen, tell us what were your big thoughts. And Mark, let's start with you. What were the upsets? What were you most excited about this past week?
Well, living out here in Arizona, obviously close to Arizona State, the new coach Herm Edwards, and what he's been able to do, he's changed the culture at Arizona State in just 2 games. They beat UTSA last week soundly, and then they had Michigan State, one of the highly respected and highly ranked teams from the Big Ten, coming to their backyard, and it was a hard-fought game. But the culture change at Arizona State's been amazing in such a short period of time, where he's gotten not only the players to buy in, the coaching staff to buy in, but all the fans out here in Arizona buying into this program. Everybody's on board now in such a short period of time.
I agree with you. It was a tremendous win by them. But I'll tell you what really impressed me was Texas A&M. Elko, the new defensive coordinator, Mark, did a tremendous job on Clemson. And matter of fact, there were some dubious calls during the course of the game, and I think that A&M could have won the football game. The receiver didn't run the correct route on the 2-point conversion, but let me tell you what impressed me the most about A&M. The way their offensive line competed against a great defensive line from Clemson. They couldn't put a great deal of pressure on the quarterback. And so Jimbo Fisher came in there and really has done a tremendous job in just 2 short games, just like you talked about Arizona State. And poor Arizona. You know, they have 0-2 now, and they're really, really struggling. But there were so many great games. And, you know, how about the great win, Mark, by Colorado State? They're 0-2. They're down by 18 in the second half against Arkansas. Chad Morris, a great offense. They came back to win the football game. There were games like that all the time. Yeah, we look at the major game, but there are so many great games and competitors from smaller schools, like Maine beating Western Kentucky, Eastern Michigan beating Purdue. The list goes on and on.
Hey, Mark, you and I talked about this before, but I'm real interested in your opinion first. We have upsets, but then we have these almost upsets. Well, one of them happened up the road in Tallahassee, Florida, where Bobby Bowden's alma mater, Samford, came in and put a little scare into the Seminoles. But there was another almost upset in South Bend, Indiana, when David Letterman's alma mater came in to Notre Dame and did some damage. Mark, what are your thoughts about that?
Not only that, how about the way that they played them? Physical right down to the end. They rushed for more yards than Notre Dame did, Coach. Ball State, a team that was 2-10 last year, 0-8 in the MAC, came in there and thoroughly embarrassed them and almost won this football game. They had a chance to win this game. And how about your quarterback, Brandon Wimbush, in that game? 0 touchdown passes, 3 interceptions in the game, Coach. Is that national championship caliber quarterback play?
I've heard enough from you. I heard enough. This is not Bash Notre Dame show. Notre Dame did win 2-0. They are 2-0 at the present time. They won the game 24-16, and now they're going to go on and continue to win. And while we're at it, how did Pitt do? I didn't get that score. I think it was 51-16 against Penn State. The team that you predicted would win. We'll get to that a little later in the show.
Hey, the Panthers were only good on a fast track. It was a muddy track.
Well, Coach, we'll get to that, but let's go back a little bit to Tallahassee. You know, Samford comes in there. Delvin Hodges from Samford throws for 475 yards against the Seminoles. Now, Shorter University of Rome, Georgia, only gave up 330 yards passing to one Devlin Hodges. Now, my concern for Willie Taggart is, I think we all agree, Eric Dungey's from Syracuse is a little bit better, and that's where Florida State's going next week up there to the Carrier Dome. They could be 0-3. What are your thoughts on Florida State, Mark?
I'll tell you what, he's in a deep hole right now. And Willie Taggart's done a terrific job wherever he's been. At South Florida, turn that program around, goes up to Oregon, gets them back on the winning track, and everybody thought he would hit the ground running at Florida State, but not so. They're deep at the quarterback position, but there's a lot of holes on his football team. Running back is a strong position for them, but offensive line is weak. The defense doesn't have the stars that they've had in the past. So right now they're challenged, and going up to the Dome is a tough place to play. Ask Clemson last year when they went up to the Dome and played, and they lost to Syracuse.
Yeah, but Mark, you go back when they played Virginia Tech. Florida State's defensive backs could not play the ball in the air. They do not play the ball in the air any way whatsoever. And the fact that they did not perform well against Virginia Tech, it could be a very long season. Willie Taggart's done a great job. However, overall, he still has a losing record as a head coach.
Now, gentlemen, we'll get into this in a second when we talk about games we picked. But let's talk about the upset. Now, Coach, according to you, they're 12 years ahead of schedule. The Kentucky Wildcats went into the swamp when no one said they could. And, you know, basketball school, not. But you got to give it to the Kentucky Wildcats. They went down there and they stood toe-to-toe with the Gators, and they took it to them. Mark, thoughts?
It was a great win. You know, the first time in the last 32 games that they finally beat Florida. You got to give it to Mark Stoops to have his team ready and to really treat this game like a big game atmosphere. You know, Kentucky starts out well. Last year they started off 5-1, but let's see how they finished. They ended up going 2-5 in their last 7 games. How do they respond after a game like this where everybody said, "Attaboy," patting them on the back, "Great job, you finally got the monkey off our back"? Let's see how they perform the rest of the season, particularly this next game coming up.
I think they'll perform well, Mark. Let's remember this. 3 of the last 4 years, they've lost a game by less than a touchdown. And last year, they could have beat them except for a freak thing that happened. But not only did they win, Mark, they played them physical. And that's the one thing you have to do in the Southeast Conference. You must be the most physical football team on the field if you hope to have a chance to win. And Florida was not that. Kentucky was very physical.
Well, as we said last week, the Wildcats can count to 11, and when there's a blue jersey closer to the sidelines, put somebody in front of them, and you never know what's going to happen. So great things there.